World War II, 1944. While the world focused on the battles in Europe, Japan was secretly developing a weapon that seemed straight out of a science fiction movie. A gigantic submarine, larger than a Boeing 747, capable of transporting and launching aircraft anywhere in the world. Yes, you heard that right, an aircraft carrier submarine. Today I'll reveal all the secrets of this impressive machine that could have completely changed the course of the war. But before we continue, let me ask you a question. What if I told you that this submarine was part of a plan to attack San Francisco with biological weapons? Or that it was almost used to destroy the Panama Canal? Sounds absurd, doesn't it? But it's all true. And by the end of this video, you'll discover surprising details that even the greatest military history experts rarely mention. (1942). Japan was beginning to feel the weight of the war. The American Navy was growing stronger in the Pacific, and the Japanese Empire desperately needed a secret weapon. It was then that Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto, the same man who planned the attack on Pearl Harbor, approved one of the most ambitious projects in military history. Picture the scene. In a secret room in Tokyo, naval engineers present a project that seemed impossible. A submarine so large it could circumnavigate the globe without refueling. A true titan of the seas that would carry not just torpedoes but bomber aircraft inside. Many officers laughed at the idea. Others said it was madness. But Yamamoto saw it as a chance to take the war directly to American territory. The project got the green light, and thus was born the I400 class, the largest submarine ever built until then. Let's talk numbers, and brace yourself because they're impressive. 122 meters in length, that's longer than a football field. To give you an idea, if we stood this submarine upright, it would be taller than a 40-story building. But size was just the beginning. This sea monster weighed 6,560 tons on the surface. Oh, but that means nothing to me, you might be thinking. So let's compare. That's the weight of approximately 5,000 regular cars, and here comes the most incredible detail. Inside this giant was a pressurized hangar capable of carrying 3 aircraft. Yes, 3 aircraft. And we're not talking about model planes. These were Aichi M6A1 Saran bombers, specially designed for this mission. The crew, 144 men living and working in a space that needed to be perfectly coordinated. It was like a synchronized dance. Every movement had to be precise, every action calculated. Now let's get to the most fascinating part. How the hell did they manage to launch aircraft from inside a submarine? The process was a masterpiece of military engineering. First, the submarine would surface. The crew had to work against the clock. The longer they stayed on the surface, the greater the risk of detection. In just 7 minutes, yes, 7 minutes, they could assemble a complete aircraft that was stored disassembled in the hangar. The aircraft was moved to a 26-meter pneumatic catapult. Just imagine, you're in the middle of the ocean on a submarine, about to launch an aircraft as if you were on an aircraft carrier. The catapult used compressed air to propel the aircraft, giving it the necessary speed for takeoff. But what about after the mission? How did the aircraft return? Well, they would land on the water near the submarine. A special crane would retrieve them back to the hangar. It was like a mechanical ballet in the middle of the ocean, and all of this had to happen in 45 minutes or less, from the moment the submarine surfaced until it submerged again. It was a race against time where every second counted. But now comes the part that will leave you jaw-dropped. Japan's plans for these submarines were even more impressive than the machine itself. The first planned mission was called Operation PX. The objective? To destroy the Panama Canal. Yes, you heard that right. The plan was to stealthily navigate to the Panamanian coast, surface during the night, and launch aircraft carrying specially designed bombs to destroy the canal locks. Just imagine the impact. If they had succeeded, they would have split the main American maritime route in 2. Ships that normally took 2 weeks to go from the Atlantic to the Pacific would have to go around South America, a journey of more than 2 months. But wait, there's more. And here comes something that seems straight out of a horror movie. Operation Cherry Blossoms at Night. The plan was to use these submarines to launch a biological weapons attack against San Francisco. The Japanese intended to spread bubonic plague in the city. Seems surreal, doesn't it? But historical documents confirm This plan existed and was only not executed because the war ended before, and there was still Operation Hikari, a plan to attack the American fleet at Ulithi. The Japanese wanted to prove they could strike the Americans where they least expected. The technology of these submarines was so advanced for its time that it still influences military projects today. The ventilation system was a masterpiece of engineering. They managed to create a pressurized environment inside the submarine that protected the aircraft from corrosion caused by salt water. The navigation system allowed them to travel 37,500 nautical miles without refueling. To give you an idea, that's 1.5 times around the Earth. It was like having a floating underwater city that could stay at sea for months. And here's a fascinating detail: the pilots trained exclusively at night to keep the project in total secrecy. Just imagine, while the world slept, these men practiced takeoffs and water landings, preparing for missions that could change the course of history. But then, what happened to these impressive machines? Well, the story has a surprising ending. When Japan surrendered in 1945, the Americans could hardly believe what they found. It was like discovering a technological treasure. The American Navy meticulously studied every detail of these submarines. But here comes the intriguing part. Instead of preserving them, they decided to deliberately sink them. Why? Because they didn't want the Soviets to get their hands on this technology. In 2005, something extraordinary happened. Researchers found the remains of I400 near Hawaii. There, more than 800 meters deep, lay one of World War II's greatest secrets. Today, more than 75 years later, these submarines continue to fascinate historians and engineers. They were machines ahead of their time, proving that sometimes reality can be more impressive than fiction. Think about it. A submarine capable of launching aircraft anywhere in the world. A weapon that could have completely changed the course of the war if it had been completed a few months earlier. A project so advanced that it influenced military technology for decades. And the most incredible thing? This story remains unknown to many people. While everyone knows the stories of the great warships and famous battles, few know about this giant submarine that carried aircraft in its belly. It's a reminder that history always holds surprises, and that sometimes the greatest innovations emerge in the most desperate moments. So, what did you think of this incredible story? If you were impressed like I was, don't forget to leave your like and subscribe to the channel. Also, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss our upcoming videos about fascinating World War II stories that nobody told you. Tell me in the comments, do you think these submarines could have changed the outcome of the war if they had been used? See you in the next video.